Hi everybody, this is Rocky Wilson again, and it's March 3rd, 2020, and this is another episode of Unsolicited Advice. This is Unsolicited Advice. Let me see if I can get this. Oh, number 11. It's a special edition about the coronavirus. I hope that in the future people will be able to see this and say, Rocky, you were really wrong. You didn't need to do that. How foolish you were. But we have to play the odds, and the coronavirus looks like it's real, and it's probably going to get worse. Here are the top 11 things that I think you should hear about the coronavirus. This is 11 pieces of advice about the coronavirus. This video might be a little more choppy, a little less polished, maybe not edited quite as well, because I'm trying to get this out as quickly as possible to the public. It's out of sequence. It's number 11 when the last one was number 5, but I've got 5 other ones that have been written but have not been turned into videos, and those will come later. I just thought that getting this out to the public was the best thing, and I hope you appreciate that as I go through my 11 suggestions of what to do about the new coronavirus potential pandemic. So my first piece of advice for you today is don't panic. If you're human, and I presume you are since you're watching this video, you probably are subject to the thing that every human is, and that is being a little paranoid. There are couple scientific terms for that. One of them is called animistic bias, and the other is agency detector mechanism. You might want to look those up to understand, but if you're panicking, it's normal, it's natural. You might want to look up those terms to realize why you are. I'll try to say one more thing to calm you down a little bit, and that is that the thing is probably going to be worse than what the poo-pooers are saying, the people who think that this is just going to go away fairly quickly. And it's probably not going to be near as bad as what the Chicken Little people are saying. The sky is falling. I know that's a big range of possibilities, but realize that it's probably going to be in that range and probably somewhere towards the middle of that range. That's just the way these type of things work. So try to remain calm, do things with a level head, and make your decisions based on that mindset. My second piece of advice for you is to go and get your information from reputable sources. And the 2 most reputable sources for this, and I'm borrowing this information from a letter I read by Juliana Grant, rather. And the 2 best places are the CDC, which at cdc.com or cdc.gov. Anyway, it's the Center for Disease Control. They post a lot of information. There is a lot of information there. And if you want to get the real scoop, that's the place to go. Another place would be your local state health departments. And as Juliana Grant says, you should listen to them before you listen to me. And that means me too. Get your information from good sources, and those are the 2 best sources. And my third piece of advice about this situation is don't listen to bad sources. Anyone who tells you they know exactly what's going to happen is full of it, in my opinion. They probably don't know what they're talking about, because the people that are actually doing the investigation, who are doing the research, are in the development stages where they're slowly but surely figuring it out. So the informed sources will be posting new information probably daily, and I have a number of them. Obviously, like I said, the CDC website and your local state health department's website. You want to keep apprised of the developments because it may help you out. For some other sources that I've enjoyed or have gone to, I like Chris Martinson's post from yesterday where he presents a broad number of sources of information and goes through each of them. So it's very much a broad overall view. And Juliana Grant's letter, which I'll post a link to in the notes, that is a very concise and very synopsis of the situation, and it's very well informed. She was a CDC employee for a long time, and she appears to know what she's talking about. I would read that if I were you. My fourth piece of unsolicited advice for today is, the people that are merely uninformed are one thing, but you have some real total nutcases out there too. So beware of the nutcases. We know that the thing is as bad as it is already. It's going to be as bad as it is already. But some people are denying even that. They're saying that it's even the news that's coming out is overblown, and you don't need to worry, and you just need to go about your daily stuff like nothing else happened. But believe me, you need to make some adjustments. You need to listen to what they say at the CDC and your local state health department. So my fourth piece of advice is beware of the nutcases. My fifth piece of advice is to be prepared. Stock up a little bit, but don't hoard. We need to leave stuff for other people. There may be some supply chain issues as this progresses. And even if it turns out to be almost nothing, it's a good idea to have some stuff around the house in case you have a disruption or you get sick or for whatever reason. My sixth piece of advice is to adapt and adjust to the new information that is being presented daily. You don't want to make any real drastic changes. Probably focusing on things that you should have done before anyway is a good start. You might want to focus on the things that are good ideas regardless, because no matter how bad this gets, common sense still works. Do common sense things to look out for yourself and your loved ones. My seventh piece of unsolicited advice today is, if you get sick, stay home. If you are sick with this new virus, you probably don't want to go out and stress yourself, and you certainly don't want to give it to other people. And if you don't have it, the last thing you want to do, if you're sick with something else, the last thing you want to do is go out and catch it in addition to a second type of virus or cold or flu or something. That's my seventh piece of advice. My eighth piece of advice, and again I'm borrowing from Juliana Grant's letter, is to avoid exposure to others and groups. Don't go to large groupings of public events. When you buy your groceries, maybe buy more, like 2 weeks worth at a time. That's what Juliana suggests. And I would also add that when you're going out and about, you might want to do a bunch of errands at once. That way when you come home, you can just wash all your clothes and feel good about it and change into some new fluffies or something and relax. That reduces your exposure to potentially catching the virus, and that's important. I've seen a little diagram of how people's spittle projects, and apparently this can be transmitted in that way. It can be transmitted by air, and the further distance you are away from other people, the better off you are. So I would, keep my personal space a little larger now, and don't shake hands, don't hug people. If somebody comes up to me and wants to shake hands, I'll say, well, you're going to have to accept a bow today. This is serious stuff, folks. We don't know how bad it's going to get. Protect yourself. My ninth piece of unsolicited advice for this crisis is that if you are one of the high-risk groups, that you take even extra precautions. The high-risk groups right now appear to be elderly people and people who are ill. So if you are in those groups, take more precautions than I'm suggesting for the normal people. I know that you have to live your lives, you have to do things, but please take precautions based on your susceptibility to the virus. My 10th piece of advice today, and this is going to break with a lot of other people who are talking about this, but I'll explain, is wear gloves. Other people say that wearing gloves doesn't protect you from the virus, and they're probably right. But the one thing I've found it does for me is that when I'm wearing gloves, I don't put my hand to my face. I don't touch my face because I don't like touching my face with gloves on. I'll start to take the gloves off, and that gives me a little extra time to say, "Whoa, wait, I don't want to be touching my face." Always wash your hands when you come home. Wash your hands when you take them out of the gloves. And I would suggest that people wear gloves so that they don't touch their face. I'm not saying that this is a precaution that protects you from the virus. It's probably not. That's what other people are saying. But it can help you keep from doing something that's very natural, and that's bringing your hand up and, itching your nose or rubbing your eye or something like that. If you have gloves on, you're less likely to do that. Now, if you just wipe your face with gloves on anyway, it probably isn't going to help you, but for me, it helps me a lot. And my last and 11th piece of unsolicited advice today for the virus that's going around is, of all things, smile. Smiling can produce a reverse feedback loop. When you are happy, you tend to smile. When things are going well, you tend to smile. Scientists have found that if you smile, it makes you feel better. It makes you happy. It makes you think that something's going well. And boy, oh boy, do we need that feeling right now. If you dwell on the negative, it's not going to help you very well. Having a good outlook and a good perspective is a good thing given the stress of the situation, and forcing yourself to smile a little bit more, it can produce that. And that's my final suggestion for today, and I thank you for watching.